Well, hello, it's DNN Dave, and I hope everybody's doing well today. Today, we have the privilege and honor to reconnect with a true OG, the DNN Hero, our DNN Deskpal, the solo coder, the one we could always go to for a nice DNN chat for the latest and greatest in DNN news. He's a teacher to the core, and my good friend, Aderson Oliveira. Hello, and welcome,
Yeah.
Aderson.
Hello, David. Very good to be here, man. You don't know how much I miss you and everybody.
Oh man, it's so good to see you because, it used to be like we could depend on at least 2 or 3 times visiting you during the week. Now it's like,
We,
where is Aderson?
yeah, we're doing. I mean, we're doing the monthly catch up, and then there were the subgroups that I was part of. So I was always around, quiet but participative as well. But I was always so it was always good to. I mean, it was great, and I still consider myself, an honorary member of the DNN community. And again, I
Absolutely.
mean, I love the community.
Absolutely. Now, we have one matter of housekeeping here before we really dive in, Aderson. For people that do not know you, this is very important. My name is not what?
Not Anderson. You know what? I mean, this site, I have it, I don't know, for so many years. I've never changed it much. But anytime that someone pronounced my name incorrectly, I had the pleasure to send a link to this site. And again, I take that as a joke, and it's just something that we can have a good laugh about.
It's great. I thought this was wonderful because people they would always mess up your name, right? They'd always call you Anderson, and you could see it's like okay, it's fun at first, but and then you put the site up. I was like, oh, this is just brilliant.
And the thing is that I was never mad about that. But again, I use that as a hook, as an angle.
Yeah, exactly. It's good. It's so good to see you. I mean, what in the world have you been up to lately? What's in your world?
You know what? Let me tell you this. DNN has never left my world. So I still do DNN day in, day out. But on top of that, I'm a teacher. I'm an instructor. So just to give an idea, next week I'm starting the new semester, and I have right now 165 students in line for
Oh,
coding,
wow.
for programming, for C sharp. We start with C sharp, we start with the base of C sharp.
Wow. So, I mean, you're still kind of focusing on coding and really, I mean, I've always thought of you as a teacher, man. It's kind of cool that it seems like you're finding your element there.
You know what? It's funny you say that because I was a teacher. DNN Hero is all about teaching.
Hmm.
But it never really, I don't know, I never internalized that. And that caught me out of guard two and a
Yeah.
half years ago. And I said, man, that's really who I am. I like teaching. That's what I do. Now,
Yeah.
in different formats, different ways, but that's what I do.
So what you're doing now is what is it? More formal kind of teaching?
So
Okay.
so it is more formal. So uh, I work in one of my activities, let's put it this way, professional activities is working in a local college. So they have all kinds of tracks from a technology standpoint. I handle the people that are starting with coding, and I do that via C sharp. I also do that a little bit with Node as well. But C sharp is still the way to go. And there are some more advanced courses that I go through MVC, and I go through web APIs and all that jazz. So
Hmm.
in a way, I reconnected deeply with coding because my time during DNN Hero really was not deeply coding. It was more of administration, setup, configuration. But again, when I went to college to teach in a local college, 2018, I had to reconnect with my coding basis,
Mm,
and I found a new passion for coding again. So that's where I am.
that's so cool. Do you, just out of curiosity, do you get to utilize DNN kind of in your teaching these days, or is it more? I don't know. I mean, I guess you're teaching the fundamentals and so forth so much, that it's not really in context of a larger scale kind of implementation. But
That's correct. It's not. I mentioned about DNN in the first class. I always bring DNN Hero and what I've done there, but no, it's a very introductory class that is not doesn't give me the chance to do something like to include something like DNN in the mix. I may bring that up at some point, but it does not allow me to include that. For instance, this semester it's programming 2, so they're still working through classes with polymorphism, interfaces, and this kind of stuff.
man, wait, hold on, let me Google that. What does that mean? That's great, man. It's so great. Well, I know you're accustomed to being on the other side of these videos, right? You're usually the interviewer, not the interviewee. So how does that feel?
I have to restrain myself because I like to talk. I like to keep going and going and going, and I ramble a lot. So I really try to make things short and sweet, so it doesn't bug you as my host that much.
All right, I don't think you can do anything to bug me, friend. you ramble on. So I'm going to ask you a question because I mean, like, believe it or not, there are probably people in the DNN community right now that don't know who you are. So, like, tell me a little bit about yourself, your history. Like, how did you start working with DNN? I mean, it was many years ago, I know, but like, how did that all happen? What was the story behind that?
So let me try not to bore you to death, but back 2006, I was working for a company in Toronto, Canada, and they commissioned a report P from PricewaterhouseCoopers, something, no, PWS. They
Mm-hmm.
commissioned a report for PWS to come up with the right solution for their CMS needs.
Mm.
And back then, 2006, because we were a Microsoft shop, they pointed out to DNN. DNN back then was DNN 4. So
Ah.
I was the manager of a group of developers of about 20 developers, and they gave me the job to get to know DNN, understand DNN, and be able to implement DNN within this network of professions that they had. And that's where I get to know a little bit about DNN. That's where I got to initially, let's be honest, initially hate DNN. But then, of course, as any good DNNer, you start hating, but then very quickly after that, you start loving it, and you get, to know the community, and it's a passion that what there's never a rupture, but that's how I started.
That is cool. I don't know if I've ever heard that. So it's funny because I feel like you have been in the DNN community forever, but it seems like it really started about what 4 years into, or 3 or 4 years into it, and really for the life of DNN, I'm speaking. Hmm, that's
Correct. I
great.
mean, so I started using 2006, but actually I was not active in the community until 2010. So I was
Mm,
under the radar. I was just a consumer, a passive participant of the community from 2006 to 2010. But then 2010, I started DNN Hero. I started my own business, and DNN Hero was a way for me to not only to get to know DNN, but to expose what I knew about DNN. But it became a virtual cycle as the more I put out there, the more opportunities show up to me as a consequence. And I needed that because
Mm.
that's when I went solo, you know.
So you were, let me guess, you were reading blogs from Mitch Sellers. You were reading posts on DNN Creative and responses from Mr. Joe Craig and Scott Wilkinson and some of the and all that. You were, because I was in that world too for so long of just I'm just a user. I'm just a consumer. I'm trying to find my way. So yeah, but then it
And
kind of.
and and reading books as well, looking at the books and going to the events, but again, very quietly in the back and just looking at people. I remember the first one that I had really a connection with was Tweet Keller. And so again, it was a consumer for the first few years, but then 2010, I started to put out there to produce as well, not only to consume, but to produce. And again, I started to join the conversations on Twitter, to join the forums as well. And again, because video is a very visual medium, you start to get some, well, visibility. And that's how things started there in 2010.
So at some point, you something clicked, and you decided to kind of go into a business. So because you've had several businesses over the years, I think, in the DNN space. What made you kind of transition to that? Was it more of a comfort of or knowledge of DNN and realizing that there was a place for you to fill a void there, or what was it that kind of transitioned you to that?
So with DNN Hero, I started to get some projection there, and that brought projects. But you know how it's the life of projects. It's very demanding. It's very, you focus on a project now, and you have the ups and downs and the starving artist type of thing.
Yeah.
So I said, you know what? How can I make this business a little bit more predictable, a little bit more sustainable? And back around 2013, 14, I decided to search for how to, what is that? I think it was how to productize a service business.
Hmm.
And I came across this company in Australia that was doing something very interesting with WordPress. They were, for a fixed monthly fee, they were supporting their clients on WordPress sites. And I said, you know what? There's nothing like that on the DNN space. So how about I bring a similar offering that's with a fixed monthly fee? You have you have professionals supporting your website, your DNN website. And that's what I did back then, 2013, 14. And I still run this business, not very actively, to be quite honest, but I still have many clients that I support on a daily basis, not only myself, but I have people that work with me as well. And again, it's still going. Again, I'm not actively promoting the business anymore, but I still have a lot of clients from Deskpal.
It's great because, like, I haven't seen anybody that articulate this type of service in this way in the community. So I know that's been a big help to a lot of people, even agencies, I believe, or other companies that are servicing clients, as you've been able to help with this kind of model as well, right?
Yep. And again, it's going for what now, for 5 6 years now. And today I was working with some of those. Every single day I have something on Deskpal that I need to have a look, take care, beyond that, sometimes goes beyond the capabilities of the team that I have also working behind Deskpal.
Yeah, and I was going to say you've got a really intelligent team that knows DNN as well behind you that's supporting this as well. Now, are you still supporting WordPress as well on this stuff, or is it still focused mainly on DNN?
We do have some DNN, we do have some WordPress clients, yes. So
Mm.
it's a mix of WordPress and DNN, but the focus was really always DNN. But yes, there are some WordPress clients.
Yeah, that's great. So it's good to know that's still alive and kicking. So, for those of you that don't know
It
about
is.
this, I know you're not promoting it and everything, but hey, go check it out if you need some help with your DNN site or everything from administration to content updates and things like that. They can definitely help, and they know DNN. So go check them out. Deskpal.com. So one venture that I love that you started a while back. And I know it started as something different than what it is now, but I found it a fascinating endeavor when you started doing videos for the solo coder. Tell me a little bit about that and what I know you're using this for now, so kind of take us from the beginnings of it to what it is now, maybe.
Okay, you know what? Again, I have to be very careful here, David, because otherwise I won't stop talking. But let me try to be objective here. So around 2017, 2018, 2017, 18, yeah, I think so. I said, you know what? I have a message for coders here. I have a message that you can go beyond the code. You can, with your coding skills, you can build your own business as well. As a solo professional, or as David, for instance, as an agency owner, you can build a business out of your skills. And I wanted to bring that up. I felt that I had a message to tell people about that. I
Mm.
felt the desire, the drive, the needs to put this out there. And I started 2017, more or less. I said, you know what, I'm gonna do 100 days, 100 rambles, talking about what I have done with by being a coder, running my own business, how I did things, and what I thought is the formula for a successful coder to do their own business. And I put that out there and didn't get too much traction. It was just me rambling, and I interviewed a few people, including David as well. If you have a look there, David is one of the people that I have interviewed for the podcast, which was a mix of, again, there was a podcast element and my solo voice rambling along for 100 episodes. So that was the beginning. And that has transformed itself. I'm gonna put a pause here and see if you have anything there, because again, I won't stop.
I, you know, I know it didn't, get the traction necessarily that you were hoping for or looking for, but I know it was good experience for you to talk about all this subject matter. But like for anybody, even if you're not just a solo coder, there's some content in here that is just really rich. You interviewed people, you talked about that. I don't know how in the world you came up with all this content, but this is an incredible resource. So go check out the Solo Coder on YouTube out here, as well as the solocoder.com or solocoder.com, sorry. And that will have the podcast on it.
Yeah, but that was the first incarnation. Okay?
Yes.
So that incarnation morphed and transformed in what it is right now. So what it is right now, again, so I paused there. I paused for 1 or 2 years, and I came back around August 2019. So about a year and a half ago, I started with weekly podcasts. I started with video, but I said, you know what? I want to focus on the audio aspect. So I quickly moved to audio only. So right now, on a weekly basis, I think that we are in episode 75. Every single week, I publish a conversation with a coder, all kinds of different coders at this point in time, from front end to back end to machine learning to people like um, Hanselman, to people like, you know, again, so many people. Whoever I see that is doing something interesting on the web, maybe via video, maybe via blogging, maybe via course creation that is related to coding, I try to talk to them. I have been trying to talk to, again, a lot of people, a lot of my big coding stars from the past, creators of the creator of C Sharp. I've been trying to get him
Wow.
in the podcast, but I have not been successful as of yet. But again, I got people that I never thought that I would be talking to. The I'm trying to remember one of the names again, from Hanselman to all kinds, all walks of life here, all kinds of developers, a lot of women that are doing fabulous stuff from a coding perspective, front end, machine learning, back end, you name it. I'll talk to them. So that's what I do. And the main reason that I do this is because I love bringing voices from the industry to my students. And I bring this to my students, but not only to them. I mean, I open this up to anyone that wants to consume that. And let me tell you, this gets a lot of traction. Now, it's a different medium. It's not video. It's just audio podcast, which may transform the future. But again, at this point, it's just audio podcast.
This is great. So, I mean, what is the cost of this, Aderson? I mean, like, what do people have to pay to get access to this?
Well, what do you mean by pay? This is free, man. This is free.
So you've heard it, people. I mean, there's some incredible content out here. You know, I'll have to admit, I knew you were doing some things, but I didn't know you had the frequency that you have here. This is unbelievable. Every week.
Every
Wow.
week. And again, 75 strong. After we are done with this talk today, I'm going to go and edit the 76th episodes.
Awesome. Okay. Okay. This is great. You know, that's one of those mediums that I know a lot of people love. Driving, you know, to work or whatever. You know, they're listening to these podcasts, and so this could be really good. Now, is this available just on this site, or is it published
No,
to
no, no. You can if you click,
iTunes?
just
Mhm.
click on them, and you're gonna see the feed there. But you can get this
Oh,
on
okay. Excellent.
iTunes, on Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, any player that you might be running there in your devices, it will play.
Fantastic. This is so good. Yep, that's being added to my list there. So here, I've learned something new. Okay, so this is great. This is great. Let's talk about some of the things that you've done over the years too. Like, you mentioned events earlier. Like, I'm assuming you're talking about like DNN community events and conferences and so forth. I remember one particular speaker session that you did on Pomodoro. And that was correct me if I'm wrong, but like when you discovered Pomodoro and you started teaching others about it, it was a pretty aha moment for you, right?
It was. But I have to tell you, I have to admit that lately I have been very, very low. Uh, I kind of left behind Pomodoro. I'm a big promoter, but once I start to teach, David, I don't know, things put me in a, because sometimes I had to teach for 2, 3, 4 hours straight. And I said, you know what? There is no Pomodoro for me during those hours. So the Pomodoro maybe broke apart a little bit, but I'm a big promoter, and I do that for my students as well. I said, you know what? Are you struggling with having the mental space to focus? Try Pomodoro, because again, the idea is simple. 25 minutes, focus on one thing. Take a break, maybe you focus on the next thing. Maybe you go back to where you were before. But again, 25 minutes chunk, not much. Try that. It makes a difference.
Yeah, I remember that one. That you know, I tried to do some of that. It was, you know, I think different people in different stages in life are able to, you know, something like that really grasps on, you know, and finding what works for you is pretty cool. But I remember that one. That one stood out to me. But what are some of the other topics that do you remember speaking on at these conferences?
I was always a big fan of that rushed presentation. How do they call it? It's because you have 5 minutes or
Oh,
four
like the
minutes and
ignite things.
ignite. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that every 15 seconds it goes to the next slide and the next slide. And it's fun because again, as a presenter, you try to keep track and you get the audience entertained as well, because they see that you are struggling there and people are laughing, and again, so I try to put myself in those things that are, I mean, I'm not a big shot, but I try to put myself in those things that are more inconvenient, that pushes the agenda forward, and that will make you a better person. So Pomodoro was a big one. I also did one presentation about the one thing, because that I'm still a fan. I'm a promoter of that. The one thing and the essentialism. The one thing is really, for instance, on your daily agenda, on your daily to do, what is the one thing that needs to be done that day, that is non-negotiable, that you have to get that done, because
Yeah.
that's important for your long-term projects, for your long-term vision of your career, of your business, whatever it is. But what is
Yeah.
the one thing that is not negotiable in your to-do? Make sure that you do that, and then you get the sense of accomplishment. And after that, you can do anything within your day. But again, on a daily basis, see what is one thing for that day that aligns with your goals for that week, for that month, for the next 6 months, for the next year, for your vision of 5 years, career, of your business, whatever it is. But again, the one thing, I'm a big, big, big fan of that concept.
So easy to not focus on that thing or lose sight of it among all the things that you believe you need to
Because
accomplish. Yeah.
because usually, let me tell you, usually what is most important is not a screaming priority, David. It's not screaming in your face. A client that needs something done is screaming, is yelling in your face,
Yes.
and you
That's so
you
true.
you get that done. But usually, what is the most important for you in the long run is not yelling in your face. It's not screaming in your face. It's not on your face. So again, it's to find what is priority. Priority we should not have a plural for priority. Priority should be priority, not
Yes.
priorities.
Mm. Oh, preach it.
Amen.
Yes, yes. Hallelujah. Praise the Lord. Um, sorry, I cannot resist the Medea references. Uh, you also at these events, I remember for, gosh, I guess several years, you were a trainer for the full day training. I think you focused on what, administration,
Yep.
Daniel?
Administration, and again, it was staring on my face there that I I was a good trainer. I liked that, and nobody ever shook me and say, "You are a trainer. You are an educator. That's what you should be doing." And again, I was so excited to do those things. I always try to bring, new initiatives to that training, and I love to do that. I really, really love. It was exhaustive because it was 8 hours straight,
Yes,
but
yes.
I used to love it.
Yeah, they didn't even let you eat lunch, right? I mean, only the students. No, was that probably one of the closest things in your DNN days to what you're doing now?
It
Yeah.
is, no doubt. I mean, I had to plan. It took me a lot of time to do the planning for those sessions, and I really put a lot of effort in thought process on that training. So it is when I look back at my DNN trajectory, those moments of training, they were big clues that were staring my face, and I couldn't see them.
Mm, mm. Well, I wanted to, I wanted to point because we would be remiss if we didn't talk about some of your videos through the years. I was curious in prepping for this. I came out to your main DNN Hero channel here on YouTube, and you can just search Aderson Oliveira out here or DNN Hero, and I think you'll find this. And I'll post the links, by the way, down in the description below. And oh, by the way, if you like this content and you want more content like this, be sure to hit subscribe, hit the little alert notification thing there so you'll be alerted whenever there's live streams, and post a comment below and let me know what kind of things you want to see and hear. But Aderson, I was looking through this and I found this little feature over here to sort by the oldest, and it was 10 years ago March when you
Yes.
posted your first video here, and 44,000 views now. Not too shabby. And it was about installing DNN, and our own screen here, but it wasn't too much longer that we found that you started going on screen a little bit more with your
Oh my.
video.
Oh my.
and
Here you
and
go. Here you
we
go.
got to see what Aderson looked like back in those days, and these are some of my favorites here.
The table is still the same, the table.
Ah, interesting. But I mean, you've had some great videos through the years, and I mean, like I mentioned earlier, people that are probably looking up, Mitch Seller blogs, or back in the day, looking at DNN creative stuff and everything. I mean, you obviously produced a lot for DNN Hero, but I mean, you had a ton of stuff out here just open right on YouTube, right? For people to see. I mean, everything from what interviews to tips to some training type things, your monthly chats. Incredible, the
My
amount of content.
my goal, my flow at that point, David, was one video a day. So every day I had a little snippet, a little nugget. If it was a longer topic, I would break it down and chop it down in multiple parts. So for about a year or two, it was one video every single day of the week. Not weekends, but 5 days of the week. Yes.
Wow. Do you have any idea the count of videos that you actually have on this channel?
It's very simple, very easily we can see that if you search for DNN Hero, you can see the result and you can see the number of videos. It should be about 500 videos.
Oh, wow. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I was trying to figure out how to get a count there, but I think you're right. In the search results, it'll show that. But some amazing content through here, and I know some of this is old and older versions of DNN and so forth, but I mean a lot of it's still absolutely relevant today. Still.
Funny enough, the video that still gets the most views, if you look at the stats in the channel, because
Yeah.
I still peek, I still have a quick look, is the first one, is the installing one.
Yeah. People want to know how to get started, right?
Now, is it that relevant anymore? I mean, not that much, but yes.
Still, it's some relevance, but still, I mean, it shows you that here I'm gonna just go ahead and fess up here. As I was looking through this, I was like, you know what? This tells me something. That being the most popular one, well, we need more content out there about current ways to install DNN. So I probably will do something like that, right? So
Very true.
why not follow the stats a bit sometimes, But I'm just impressed with all that you have done over the years. Your contributions to this community, I don't know how you'd even measure it.
I mean, it's the same that I put in, the same. I got way more from the community. It's I would not be here doing what I'm doing, even though most of what I do right now is not related directly with DNN. But I would not be here if it wasn't because of that journey that you see there. If it was because of what I've contributed, I gain way more back from the community, from the feedback that I get from people, how helpful those things were. So, I mean, what can I say? It's a two-way thing, David. I mean, it's cliche, but what you put out there comes back to you. It's cliche, I know, but it is true.
That's so true. I've heard our friend Will Stroll talk about this quite a bit. The abundance principle in the community is kind of where things started in DNN, and it's where they are still today. I mean, of course, you have some people that don't necessarily understand that or buy into that or give into that, but we go through different phases, and you definitely embrace that philosophy of I'm gonna give here, and it'll come back, but you don't do it to get, you do it to give, and you learn in the process as well. So thank you for all
And
this.
if the intention is not genuine, you cannot keep up for too long,
This
David.
is
Because
true.
if
So
the
true.
if the idea is a short-term mentality, you cannot withstand years and years of doing that and looking at 50 views, 60 views, maybe 100 views. I mean, look at the numbers. You don't see big numbers there.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you're right. I mean, you're not doing it for the fame of it, right? So, well, I would be remiss if I didn't mention all of that that you've done. I mean, I remember you started the Toronto area DNN users group as well. I know that was a fairly short-lived thing, but
Yep.
that was one
It
of those
was
things.
it was it existed before, and then I said, you know what, let's resurrect that. And I ran that for about a year and a half. And when I decided to phase things off, I decided to put a pause on
Right.
that as well.
Yep. 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 Well, so Aderson, like, tell us. Okay, we're gonna bring it back full circle to back to current present day. What you mentioned you're teaching at the university there or college at. Sorry, I don't know exactly
Yep.
what it's titled. What is that your foreseeable future, or do you have some other things that you know? What's next for Aderson?
So, as I mentioned, I embrace teaching, but I embrace teaching from a very holistic point of view. It's not just the traditional instructor in front of people lecturing them. My teaching style goes on video. I like to produce content. I like to help people. I mentor students that are getting into the space as well. So my future, my foreseeable future, is deeper and deeper into teaching. It might be with courses. I produced a course on machine learning. If you have a look at Udemy, about 6 months ago, machine learning, I have 3,500 students there. So I like teaching and I want to do that more. And I like to help people get into the industry as well. So it's going to be a mix, David, of actually not really a mix, but it will be more teaching, but different ways. The podcast is a big aspect of my journey. It's what I like to do. It's one of the ways that because just as an individual, you just have your experience, your life experience to share.
Yeah.
But with the interviews, with the podcast, I'm privileged to have a peek at somebody else's life, somebody else's experience, and I bring that to my teaching as well. So again, now I coach students on how to get into the industry. And how do I do that? By my own experiences. But now I have the collective experiences of 75, and I'm not stopping there, of 75 people that I listen to, so you're going to see more of that with me. Solo coder is a big part of who I am, is a big part of my foreseeable future. And again, more about teaching. I have a coach, not a coach, but a mastermind program that I have been
Hmm.
working with students that are graduates already. They join the mastermind group and we do some interesting stuff together. We have a bi-weekly meeting that we go through some real projects and we go and we talk to industry experts as well. So it's part of what I'm building as well is this group that I call the Master Branch, which is again a group for people that are transitioning from I'm a graduate to I'm not yet in the job market and I want to be there. And I feel with this group, I feel this gap there.
Wow. Okay, so I don't think your name is Aderson. I think it's Superman. uh, it,
It comes with a cost, no, David.
yeah,
Sometimes,
I
no.
am sure. I'm sure you've created a monster, as they would say sometimes. You know, because you feel the need to keep going. Our friend Vikram is joined on the live stream here and says he misses you
Hey,
in
hey,
the DNN
Vikram.
community. So he,
Awesome.
he
Thank you for
was
that.
he says I thank you both for your content and helping many. Please convey my regards to Aderson. His tips were so helpful. My request for him to continue DNN video for the latest version. So,
Awesome. I understand that.
so I think let's wrap things up. But in doing so, I'm going to give you the final word here, Aderson. What is I'm going to take it back to thing that you know is so important to you, focus wise. What is the one thing that you would say to the DNN community or anyone watching this video that you could impart to them? What's the one thing that you would focus on?
I would say be grateful for the community, contribute to the community. I have to tell you, I've been slightly away from the community, well, very away from the past about 2 years. And in my talks, in my conversations, going beyond DNN and above, I have never seen such a tidy group of people that are so closely connected as our community. I'll still say our community because I still have a
You're
like
still
that.
here.
I feel that it's a company that I left, but I love the people in that company. It's this community that I kind of left, but I love the feeling of this community. I love the, how will the willingness of this community, of the members, to share openly and to keep this going, to keep this connection going forever, and so what I would say is be grateful for the community that you have, because it's not very common. It's not.
Couldn't have thought of a better thing to say. Thank you, Aderson. I really appreciate you joining. And we started it off with hello, and I hope you don't mind, but I had to take that because that's how everybody knows you, and I had to take it because it's a legacy that needs to live on. People need to be reminded of you and your contributions to this community. And yes, you are still a part of our community, whether you're on camera daily or whatever about DNN, doesn't matter. You're still one of us. So we love you, man.
Awesome. Again, hello. I still use it for all my videos, and again, it will stick around with me, but again, please use it.
Well,
it was my pleasure, David. It was my pleasure, really, to be here and talking back to the community that I love. I mean, I had to make some calls a few years ago, and I put a video just to say goodbye to the community, and it was really hard for me. It's like, breaking I don't know, but I had to make some calls, and I said, I need to focus on some other things that you have to make choices in life.
Absolutely. And we support you in those choices. Absolutely.
Thanks so much.
Well, thanks for joining. So is it appropriate for us to say goodbye? Or
I never tried that, but my way is now cheers, hasta la vista, and bye.
I tell you what, let's get you to do that again one more time, and that'll be the end of our stream.
Awesome. Cheers, hasta la vista, and bye.